Sports, props, and futures for tonight's action. Bettor Sports Betting wants to know what picks you're playing tonight. Tell us in the live chat on YouTube, Twitter, and the Bettor Sports Network app. This is Bettor Sports Betting with Fantasy Alarm's Dan Servodidio.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back in here to the Bettor Sports Betting Show here on Bettor Sports Network. I am Dan Servodidio. Oh, a hat just fell right next to me. I am Dan Servodidio from Fantasy Alarm, and I got the Don of Dad jokes, the king of the underscore, James Grande. Shout out to our producer, Adam Bernard, for giving me those nicknames to shout out here. But what's up? What's up, James? Thanks for joining me.
What's going on? Happy Thursday. I'm glad that there was no injury to start this show. I mean, you almost just
missed my head. I could have died.
I mean, we would have had to go to HR like that. We have it on camera, so the proof to HR would have been like right there. Adam would have had to file some type of report. So I'm glad none of that happened.
Adam would have scrubbed the video and
I'm not doing
any extra paperwork here, guys.
Yeah, no extra paperwork. Right.
I'm good. I'm ready to host the rest of the show. Don't worry.
Good. I mean, definitely Thursday is typically like the getaway day for baseball. Yeah. We usually have the day baseball, then we have the smaller afternoon slate, and it continues. Every slate these days continue to get smaller with the unfortunate situation up in the northeastern part of the country and typically Canada. Obviously, hopefully things get better there first, and then the air quality, continues to improve because it looks like the apocalypse. Like, I'm a little further south and there's bad air quality here in South Carolina, but I cannot even imagine like stepping outside in the northeast right now. Like in New York yesterday, I saw the pictures, like just orange. Yeah. And I mean, hopefully things get better and we don't keep losing baseball games seemingly on a daily basis. Are your Phillies are in danger again today, or are we actually playing baseball?
I've been tracking it because yesterday me and Howard gave out picks we each had picks for like the Yankees and Phillies games, and then within a few minutes of each other, we're both canceled live on the show after we just gave some analysis on the Phillies. So I got I got a pick on the Phillies tonight. I will be tracking to see if that game is going to be canceled or not. I haven't seen like that it might be in danger. It seems like, and I actually have the Yankees are on right now, starting the first game of their doubleheader. So it looks like they're going to at least play their first game here, and assume they're going to play their second one. But yesterday was bad. All the pictures coming out from New York. I am in the DC area, and it was like hazy, and it was definitely noticeable. Not nearly as bad as it looked like in New York and in the northern part of the Northeast there, but it's definitely probably a good idea for the Nats to cancel their afternoon game. Would have been an afternoon game for them. So, we give a shorter slate, but only a few games tonight. But we definitely have some picks that we'll be giving you guys a little bit later on today's show. About 10 minutes from now, we will be having some NHL Stanley Cup Final talk with Chris Morais from Fantasy Alarm. So we'll bring him on to give us some picks and see where he's leaning for tonight's game and for the whole series. Yesterday we had Fensty on to give us his picks for the NBA Finals Game 3, and he nailed it. He was on the Nuggets there and on the spread too, and nailed that one. So shout out to him. We'll see if we can make it 2 in a row with Chris giving his leans for tonight. What were your reaction to last night with this NBA? Because I know you're an NBA guy, and just kind of going into tomorrow's Game 4. What's your lean on this series for the NBA Finals?
I mean, initially I thought this series would go 5, so that's still obviously in play. I also didn't expect Denver to lose at home, so that was kind of threw me for a loop. Miami continues to just surprise everybody on their home floor. I mean, they've stolen home games against every single. I mean, they beat Boston twice in Boston. Start last series, beat Milwaukee twice in Milwaukee. So I still think it can go 5. It's been like the same blueprint for Miami pretty much the entire postseason. If they make shots at rates that they didn't for the entire year, then they're winning games. And if they don't, like last night, they're not going to. They technically shot a better percentage from 3 last night from Denver. That also included like 3 late Duncan Robinson threes that kind of like kept them in the game, but like
it got weird. It got weird.
Yeah, it got a little weird. It definitely got a little weird in the fourth quarter, but like Denver didn't take a single. Was a while. I think the craziest thing I saw from last night's game, they didn't take a single 3-pointer in the fourth quarter last night, which is like, but they also got anything they wanted at the rim. And I think it's just, again, game 3, much like game 1, just showed you that the 2 best players in the series are on one team, and the other team's best player is being guarded by one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, and he's having trouble scoring. Aaron Gordon is doing a great job with Jimmy Butler. I think that's going to continue. And, I do think Denver steals another one in Miami tomorrow and probably closes it out in Denver in 5. So, series is going maybe as I thought it would, where Miami gets a game, although I thought it would be in Miami. But if they don't make their shots, they just can't beat this Denver team, because Denver's too good everywhere offense. Like their offensive efficiency was similar to the Warriors run when the Warriors won, 3 championships in 4 years. Like that's kind of unheard of, because when you think of that team, it's like, wow, that was the best offensive unit we've ever seen, at least in like this modern era of basketball. So I think Denver is by far the better team. Miami will win another game in this series if they shoot another 60% from the floor and have the game 2 fourth quarter like they did, right? You didn't see that yesterday, and look what happens. It's kind of all fell apart. So I still think Denver's in commanding lead. We'll see what happens, because the series still is technically in Miami, but I still like Denver to close it out in 5 here.
Yeah, and they're favored in that game 4 tomorrow night. 3.5 is the spread there. So, and minus 155 in the money line, which is really interesting. It seems like I said this last night with the game with the spread. It just seems like Vegas is really begging people to take Miami here.
Yep.
But they also don't want to make them huge underdogs and get burned. So, but I still, I think there's a reason the Nuggets are favored on the road here in game 4. They are just the better overall team, as you're saying. So, going to be a good one tomorrow night. Another good one tonight in the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. So, again, we'll have Chris Morais talk on that in a few minutes here. Let's get to our MLB best bets for tonight's games. Only a few games in action here, but we definitely have some picks that we like. You go first here with your top pick tonight.
Yeah, so, I hope he doesn't get scratched tonight, Servo, because last Thursday we ran with Framber Valdez, and I was making my pick, and you're like, oh, you're doing that? Oh, by the way, he's not pitching anymore. Well, Framber Valdez under 2.5 earned runs, minus 145. Not a lot of juice here, but look, this is one of the league's best pitchers. He was one of the Cy Young favorites coming into the year, and he's allowed 1 earned run total in his last 3 starts, and we're getting an under at 2.5 runs. 4 of his last 5 starts, he's gone for 1 earned run or less. He's the quality start machine. He has a 50% ground ball rate. He has 7 or more strikeouts in 4 of 5. And when you're talking about Toronto this year, they have not hit left-handed pitching well, and they're not a team that necessarily strikes out a lot. They're not a team that is, we are accustomed to the Blue Jays of being like a high-powered offense, but it's more against right-handed pitching. Bo Bichette, Vlad Guerrero, George Springer have all been pretty good against right-handed pitching this year. Yeah. I'm going to go Framber under 2.5 runs allowed. He's just one of the league's best pitchers, and I'm going to keep riding that here.
Yeah, I like that. I wanted to back the Blue Jays tonight, but I just couldn't because of their stats against lefties. So I do like that call. And Framber was a guy I've been kind of looking to see if he's going to fall, have a couple bad outings, but the dude is he's getting it done.
Machine. He's a machine, dude. He's
right.
He's coming off last year where he broke the record, the MLB record for most quality starts in a row. It was like 25, I believe it was, in a row.
Uh-huh.
And we're just starting a new streak, like 3 in a row. 4 of his last 5, he might just never not have a quality start again this year. Like, it's just what he does. So I like Framber here, and it is kind of like something the Blue Jays offense, and you would think they'd be better against lefties because they are a very right-handed heavy lineup. I mean, Dalton Varsho and Brandon Belt are usually like their only two everyday lefties. Just not the case.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird that how many I'm looking at their lineup for tonight that it's out. It's only Brandon Belt and Kevin Kiermaier, the only lefties in that lineup, but it doesn't even matter. It's like they're splits against lefties. It's just kind of the reverse there, even though they are righty heavy, as you're saying there. So yeah, I like your Valdez call there. My best bet tonight is the Atlanta Braves on the first 5 run line to be leading. After 5, it's a half a run there, favored on DraftKings -130, but I still like that. I looked at their money line, but it's just very juicy at like -190 right now, so I can't do that. But I like their first 5. Just keep it to that. Verlander against Strider here, awesome matchup. Verlander's just a guy. His advanced stats this year are really worrisome. His strikeout rate is the lowest it's been since 2014. His ERA, walk rate, hard hit rate, more advanced metrics are all the worst they've been in like 8 or 9 years. So this is a pitcher that I've been looking to fade in the right spots. And this is a spot with the Braves. They're top 10 offense against right-handed pitching this season. Over the past 2 weeks, an MLB best 378 WOBA. Over the past week, that is. And then over the past 2 weeks, still a top 5 offense. So the Braves at home here are just a dangerous matchup for Verlander. So I think he could be in trouble here. And just, some of those overlying metrics I was saying, just an issue. And then the other side, Spencer Strider just been dominant more often than not. ERA, FIP, and expected ERA all below 3 this year, which is a great sign for him. Been consistent, just pumping out quality starts lately. And the Mets offense, so they're without Pete Alonso tonight, actually, and not in the lineup that just came out, but he left yesterday's game after getting hit in the hand by a pitch or hitting the wrist. So, but he's out tonight. So that just immediately takes some power and some danger out of that Mets offense. But even in the past week, they've been a bottom 5 offense against righties, and over the past 2 weeks, still trending down in that split. So the Mets got Strider for 4 runs earlier or about a month ago. But I think Strider's going to bounce back at home in this matchup. So I'm just going to keep it to 5 innings here for them to be leading and keep the bullpens out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. And you're spot on about the Verlander struggles this year. It's been struggles in the power department. 205 ISO allowed to righties, 172 ISO allowed to lefties. And, oh, by the way, Ronald Acuna, Matt Olson, Austin Riley is the top 3 of the Atlanta lineup. All have infinite amount of power. There's 6 guys tonight in the Braves first 7 that have a 170 ISO or better against right-handed pitching.
Oof.
To your point, like not great, Bob, not great. So I like that, and I'm hoping for some of my fantasy teams, aka my FSGA team, that Justin Verlander makes it out alive. Like kind of unscathed, like enough to where you can
I'll take
win, I can have mine.
I'll take a 1-0 lead after 5. That works.
Fine. Yes. I see. So Servo, I see Chris in the background, and before we bring him on, I gotta ask you, okay?
Yeah.
What is your take on? Look at him shake his head because he knows where I'm going with this. What is your take on chicken wings, like boneless wings? Are they the same as chicken nuggets? Like, what is your take on that? Because Chris is out of his mind. Like, there's no such thing as boneless wings. They're just chicken nuggets. And Adam, if you have a take on this, I'd be happy to just bring us all involved, because I mean, chicken nuggets are, the same thing as boneless wings.
I've heard this debate being circled around on Twitter. It seems like it comes up like every so often now. And I think it was like a couple years ago. You first brought me on one of the podcasts you guys did. It was like when I first joined full time, and you guys, it was like you, Fensty, and maybe Chris was on it. I don't even remember, but kind of like this debate came up, and they're basically chicken nuggets.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, they can call them wings, but they're basically chicken nuggets. And here we got Chris Morais.
Chris, what's up?
Chris, you on the other side of this argument?
I mean, as soon as I saw James was going to be on today, I knew what was going to happen. And I was like, like I'm still gonna say yes to be here to talk hockey because why not? And then he's prefacing this, but I mean,
you should have put it. You should have responded by saying yes, but we won't talk about chicken nuggets.
I'll let my lawyer next time who drafts it up let everybody know that boneless wings are indeed chicken wings, and I will not hear the slander about it. That's it.
I will. The other thing it's funny is that when you get chicken wings, it's a mix between actual wings and the drumsticks, but they call the drumsticks wings, but they're not really wings.
From our producer,
they are. If I go to McDonald's and I ask them for boneless wings, they are going to say we don't have that. They're not going to give me nuggets, and vice versa.
So. No, they're just saying. Well, first off, I mean, who would want to go to McDonald's for? I mean, chicken nuggets from McDonald's are the most overrated things. Let's just be honest. Like, I know chicken nuggets are universally great, but like McDonald's is just the most overrated fast food. I digress. We're here to talk hockey. I can't believe you brought this up here. So like, what happened to the Florida Panthers goalie situation here, Chris? Because
I mean, it has been a tough go for the Florida Panthers in Vegas. What happens in Vegas, hopefully for the Panthers, stays in Vegas because they did not look good. I'm not going to chalk it up to the refs. I know a lot of people are saying, hey, they were off for like almost 10 days. You should have seen this coming. I don't think. I will say this. It's not Bobrovsky's fault, and I'm not going to put it on him as well. The Vegas Golden Knights have done a great job. They are a big team. They are a strong team. This is probably the biggest team that the Panthers have had to deal with, and they've struggled to just get Bobrovsky clean shots to look at. And that's something we saw in the first round of the Eastern Conference when, Toronto basically got bodies in front of Andrei Vasilevsky, and Vasilevsky looked like a Sunday League goalie. You couldn't stop a beach ball. So credit to Vegas. They've been getting in front of the net. They've been making Bobrovsky's life exceptionally hard. And to pull out a basketball reference here, I mean, the Panthers they're just not boxing out. Everybody's getting to the front of the net. They're getting in his eyes. And we can't say the same thing for the Panthers. Aiden Hill he's made some incredible saves, but there's no traffic in front of him. He's not having a super hard time seeing shots, and that's not the same case for Bobrovsky. So a goalie can't stop what he doesn't see. And in this case, the Panthers have just got to start at least manhandling some guys in front of the net and getting them out of there, because if not, it's going to be a tough task for them tonight again.
So Vegas ahead 2-0 in the series, heading here into Game 3 tonight against in Florida. So where do you see kind of changing, if anything, for tonight? Do you think, because Florida is favored here, minus 120 on the money line, Vegas about even odds there, plus 100 if you look around, but how do you see tonight's game going? The over-under is at 6. Do you see it being another higher scoring game? What's your feel for tonight's game?
I'm probably going to – I'll start with the total. I'm going to go with the under here. I know we've seen a lot of goals to start. I just don't think that pace is going to maintain. Yeah. The Panthers are a good team at home. They stay out of the penalty box. Things should go well because neither team has been really good on the penalty kill, so giving your opponent any opportunity to score goals is going to be a challenge. You have home ice advantage. You have the last change. I think maybe they try to get Matthew Tkachuk a little bit of room because he's up to like 36 penalty minutes in 2 games. So a lot of times, we talk about the effect that he has on other players and how, you can't get stuck watching him and you can't get into his game and you can't do what he wants to do. Well, right now he's hurting his team. He's not helping them in the way that he has helped them previously. So I think maybe a better matchup for him, better matchup as well for Alexander Barkov, Carter Verhaeghe, Nick Cousins. These guys have been almost invisible in those 2 games, and those guys are, good enough to do something. Anthony Duclair, the same thing as well. We can talk a lot about Bobrovsky and Tkachuk, but there are other players on that team who have not done as much as they should. So I think maybe getting them a little bit more space. I don't think it's panic time just yet. You're never in trouble until you lose a game at home. So now the Panthers just got to come home, do their job, just kind of relax and play the way that they do. They have to start strong. You have to take it to Vegas. You got to cycle that puck down low, get the traffic in front of the net. So I would play the under just because I don't see it going there. And I took Florida in the first 2 picks, so I'm just going to keep hammering Florida away here because it can't be wrong 3 times in a row, right? That's not the logic doesn't work like that. So I would probably lay Florida here. It's a shame that they're minus 120. I thought maybe we could get them closer to, even money, but I think, the betting market understands that, with this series shifting, there's a chance for Florida here. And it's a overused term, but I mean, it's a must win for Florida, right? Like you can't go down 0-3 and expect good things to happen.
Well, it's already happened, right? This didn't, it's happened before in hockey, right? It's common. It's more common than any other
Yes,
sport.
It doesn't happen in basketball that I've learned. I think it's happened like 4 times total in hockey. I think the LA Kings against San Jose were the last team to be able to do it. The last team to come down from being down 0-2 was the Boston Bruins against the Vancouver Canucks. If I remember, in 2011, Boston was down 2-0. They ended up winning that series in 7. But you just don't want to put yourself too far behind the 8 ball, right? So I'm hoping Florida can do something here, because I had Florida in 6, so I'm still on pace.
When you're looking at tonight's game, for any player props that you like, for those that are playing DFS, I didn't look. Is there a DFS playbook? I don't know if you or Andrew has it up tonight, but I know because you've been hammering that for the finals.
Yeah, player pops. I'm gonna go back to Bobrovsky's over in his save total. I think he's sitting at like 28 or 29. Again, it's not his fault. He just doesn't see the puck, so he can't stop what he can't see. I think Florida's going to clean that up a little bit and kind of get back to where they need to go. I would look at some really good shot props, either for Carter Verhaeghe on his hover as well. Again, these guys, Carter Verhaeghe scored 40 goals in the regular season, so he's too good to be this bad kind of thing. And I could see him having a really good game in that sense. I also played last time, I think it was the Brandon Montour on the over of his blocks. He was at 1.5. I would hammer the over there again. Even if this game shifts there, he's going to be on the ice a lot. He plays the penalty kill, he plays the power play. I would definitely hammer that again. I tried to play them all in a parlay. Bob let me down, so I'm hoping maybe he can, help me at least make some money so I can afford eggs.
Eggs are
expensive. So
you might not be able to afford them anyway because they're so expensive.
Or you could get some boneless chicken wings from McDonald's.
Chicken nuggets.
I would have to hit like a 5-game parlay for that. 3 is not enough. Not enough there, gentlemen.
That's funny.
When you're looking at this series overall, is it worth backing right now Florida to win the series? Because it's the best odds you're going to get. Because if they win tonight, obviously it's going to go down a bit. Is it worth backing them, thinking that they can, like you were saying, make this improbable comeback down 0-2 already?
Plus 400 right now for plus 400 for the Panthers to win the series.
It's plus 400, right? So it's plus money on something that hasn't been done in, I would say, in 12 years. But I mean, is there value there? Yes. And I think that, again, as long as you've never lost at home, then you're not in trouble. Florida's going to have to win one on the road if they want to win the Stanley Cup. So they failed to do that in the first 2 games, but they still have opportunities moving. But this is a totally different series if it comes back, let's say, tied 2-2, right? Then, I mean, now you're going back into Vegas. You've won 2 in a row. You're feeling good. Then it's a best of 3, and who knows what happens. I would sprinkle a little bit, sure. If I maybe bet on Vegas in 6 or Vegas in 7, maybe I want to hedge my bet a little bit, go the other way for a couple of sprinkles there. If I've played Florida already and I really want to double down on what I'm trying to accomplish, sure. But in a sense, this is still, right, it's still a long shot no matter what.
Yeah.
They've been pretty good at home, just looking at things, huh? 23-13 at home this year.
Yeah. Look, home teams, you have to win at home. Right. That's your job. Vegas did what they needed to do, and they didn't just win, they won convincingly. So again, credit to them. They're a big team. They got in front of the net. They did their job. Now they got to come into South Florida and do the same.
I want to bring in our producer, Adam Bernard, here, because he's one of your co-hosts on the Better Hockey Now show that you guys have been doing on Better Sports Network. New episode coming out between games 3 and 4. So this is Adam's chance to either agree with everything you just said or give a quick rebuttal to anything. Are you also leaning Florida tonight to try to get a game back here, Adam?
I pretty much agree with everything Christopher said, except for one thing, and it's not hockey related. We'll get back to that in a minute.
Let's go!
Sorry. And I agree with James that McDonald's is the most overrated of the fast food chains. That is, for sure. A couple of points that Chris made that are absolutely true. I don't blame Bobrovsky for a couple of those goals in game 2. And when a goalie's on a hot streak like that for as long as they are, when it comes to an end, it usually comes to an end in pretty terrible fashion, like the way we saw. Florida hurt themselves in game 1 by not being disciplined, and then they came right out in game 2 and shot themselves in the foot again by being even less disciplined. They handed that game to Vegas. I'd like to think they're going to rein that in tonight. That's another reason why I like the under, because there's not going to be as many power play opportunities. It's not going to be this whole back and forth thing. Like Christopher said, also, Florida's got last change, so it frees up their top guys like Barkov, Kachuk, Verhaeghe to maybe get away from the the William Carriers of the world on the Vegas side. So I'm going to go one step further. I'm taking Florida on the puck line tonight, covering a puck and a half. I think it's like a plus 200 right now. I think if they're going to bounce back and win and show that they actually have a chance in this series, they need to have a good performance tonight. They can't just eke out a victory. I know they're good at that, but I think if you think Florida's going to win tonight, they'll probably get that empty net goal. So that I would go puck and a half there. I would take them on the puck line.
Interesting. I like that. All right. Now, so what's your other point about non-hockey related?
So listen, chicken wings are chicken wings. You can like drums, you can like the flats, you can have your preferences either way there. I mean, I personally am a drums guy over the flats, but I'm not going to turn down. Yep. But if you're taking the bones out of there, if you've ever, like when you order from Wingstop, they look like chicken nuggets. They are a very similar shape. You may have different shaped nuggets at McDonald's or your frozen chicken nuggets, but at the end of the day, if there's no bones in there, it's not a wing.
It's a nugget. Thank you.
It could be a tender. Tenders tend to be a little bit bigger than nuggets. Nuggets usually half size of the tenders, but
Agreed. Couldn't agree more, actually. Honestly, couldn't agree more. Adam or Chris, looking at things, you took the under. You think that you took the puck line. How crazy would it be to bet Sergei Bobrovsky plus 1,200 to pitch a shutout tonight?
I mean, look, it's definitely a task, right? You're asking him to do something that he hasn't really done in this series. He hasn't looked good, and I don't think Vegas is too big of a team. They're too strong of a team. They get to the front of the net. They do a lot of good things. This is a tough hockey team to play against, and I don't think enough people gave them credit. I know some people said, okay, like Florida can win, but I mean, Vegas is a good hockey team from start to finish. They were able to get past the Edmonton Oilers, and those were the two best players in the NHL, hands down, right? In Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. They made quick work of the Winnipeg Jets, like as if they didn't even exist. And then they really took it to Dallas. Dallas's offense just couldn't find anything to do. And I would argue on paper, Dallas's offense is better than Florida's. So I don't know if he's going to pitch a shutout. I think that's asking him quite a bit. Can I see him having a strong performance here tonight? Maybe under 2 goals? Yes. But I would not under a shutout. That's just too rich for my liking tonight.
I mean, we haven't really seen Vegas really be tested in this series. So, but they've never played bad. And when I say Florida on the puck line tonight, I don't think Vegas is going to lay an egg. I don't think Florida is going to backhand them. I just think that they're going to have a better game than them, and they'll get that empty netter at the end. So, I think. I mean, if there's a game, I'll put it to you like this: if they lose tonight, maybe game 4 would be a nice way to play Bobrovsky for a shutout with the series on the line. Tonight, I could still see Vegas getting through. They are getting to the middle of the ice. So, but yeah. And, another thing too about game 3 tonight, Adin Hill has had to make some fantastic saves in this series. So, Florida's not playing poorly. They're just hurting themselves. They're not giving themselves really a chance because they're constantly trying to draw people into fights and after the whistles and stuff. So I think if they just get down to playing hockey, maybe a few more opportunities, that Adin Hill can't make that top save.
The last one for you, Chris, before we let you go. If people are looking to live bet like Conn Smythe odds right now, is it Jonathan Marchessault? As you see here, he is the favorite to win it for Vegas. If it is Vegas going to win the series here, is it kind of him and the field? And is it worth betting on like an Adin Hill or anybody else? Jack Eichel, you can see there plus 500, or even anybody from the Panthers. What's kind of your pick right now for the Conn Smythe?
I mean, I think Marchessault at like minus 105 is fine, but you could have gotten excellent value for him before the series. So I don't see that as a value play now. Now that's just tailing the favorite, and to me, it's not worth it. I would still lay some money on Jack Eichel I think he has still had the strongest performance in the playoffs. And when you look at the Conn Smythe Trophy, it's given to the player who has the strongest performance in the playoffs, not just in one series. I would like to maybe sprinkle a little bit on Aiden Hill, just because I know he hasn't played in, I mean, I'm not going to say enough, right? But he didn't start the playoffs. He has still done a great job. And if he continues to do what he's done, then he can easily win that award. Yes, I would still think that Matthew Tkachuk has the opportunity to win it as well. I don't think Florida is out of it. You can get great odds on Tkachuk, right? We know what he can do. We've seen his ability to influence a game, right? And like Adam said, I mean, Florida hasn't played poorly. They've done terrible things to themselves, and that's not how you win hockey games. Hockey is about the team that makes the least amount of mistakes. And right now, Florida's just making too many, and they're not being able to capitalize. So I think for me, if I'm looking to live bet it now, it would either be Jack Eichel or it's going on the other side to Matthew Tkachuk.
Gotcha.
Hell yeah.
And to go off of that point, Jonathan Marchessault came into the series as plus 600 for the Conn Smythe, just to give you the kind of value you could have gotten there. And yeah, I mean, at this point with Vegas, I think it's a 3-man race for the Conn Smythe. It's anyway, unless somebody else surges. But yeah, Jack Eichel would be the guy. If you're not going to place money on Marchessault, he has a chance to really emerge and maybe take that trophy.
Love it. All right. Well, Chris, appreciate the time for you to join here and preview this game 3. We'll see what happens. I mean, we'll see if Florida can make it interesting and make it a series, or if Vegas is going to kind of almost put a bow on it tonight, right?
I'm hoping they can keep it interesting. I'm hoping they can win. So keep this series going. I'm not ready for hockey to end just yet.
No, me neither. You can follow Chris on Twitter at FuzzyChris91. So you can see his Twitter handle there. Him and Andrew Dewhurst are just dominating all the NHL content over at Fantasy Alarm. So definitely check his stuff out there, playbooks and everything in between. Appreciate it, Chris, man.
Thanks for having me.
And you can check out the NHL DFS playbook. It'll be live on the site soon here. I'm not sure if it's Chris or Andrew on that, but definitely check that out. And if you haven't already, you can get that playbook with the All-Pro access at Fantasy Alarm. Promo code ALARM50 for 50% off the first 6 months for all of our DFS tools, playbooks. The MLB Best Bets article for today from Howard Bender that was up there. So you can get all these MLB DFS playbook for tonight, value plays, everything. So definitely get that. Alarm50 is the promo code, as always, for your first 6 months off, 50% off for the All-Pro access for Fantasy Alarm. Let's get back to some more of our MLB picks for tonight's slate. As I see the White Sox up 2-0 on the Yankees. So if you're live betting that one, that's an interesting, because I thought the Yankees might respond here against Lance Lynn, but I guess not.
Jake Berger 2-run home run to get the scoring started.
All right. Yeah, off of Severino. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Severino's been struggling last couple starts. It's been I mean, he came back from injury and just hasn't really looked all that good. And the Yankees need him to, because now Nestor Cortez is hitting the IL.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen Carlos Rodon yet this year. So, like, Severino is, like, desperately needed. So he cannot struggle again. I mean, he was obviously, like, facing the Dodgers is one thing, because, you know, he got shelled against LA last start. I mean, facing the White Sox isn't. This is like an abysmal franchise that has no business winning series against you if you want to win a division or make the playoffs. So they need Severino to. I would, Dan, and I know the Yankees' offense is not that great today. Lance Lynn has been particularly bad against left-handed bats this year, like really, really, really bad against left-handed bats, and the Yankees aren't exactly like all that potent. I mean, they're, for crying out loud, they signed Billy McKinney and are starting him in center field today, and he's batting 8. They also led Willie Calhoun off. Like, obviously not like the lineup that you're acclimated. I would live bet the Yankees, and I'm unbiased. I'm saying that from an unbiased perspective.
Yeah.
That's just what I think of Lance Lynn. Like, in Yankee Stadium, the Yankees need Severino to figure this out. They have one of the best bullpens in the league when he does eventually turn it over. Good live bet opportunity, I think, for the Yankees right now. Down 2.
Wow. Yeah, I like that. Plus 160, I'm seeing on the money line. at DraftKings. But if you want the run line a little bit less, plus 1.5 on the run line there for the Yankees, even to make it close at minus 115 odds. But yeah, like the money line at plus 160 is very interesting for them to kind of make it come back here. And it's only the second inning. So, it's only 2-0 in the second. So we have plenty of time. Let's get to some more of our picks for tonight's slate. The second game of the Yankees White Sox was an interesting one for me, but I kind of, as I always want to see how the first game goes before you kind of lock any picks in. But what else you got riding tonight?
So I'm from the looks of things from our sheet here, Dan, you and I are very, very in lockstep here. I'll go Josh Bell over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Now the Red Sox are sending out Matt Dermody to the mound, who is 32 years old, has had a lot of controversy surrounding him over the last few years. Seems like a terrible guy. Seems like we should want to target against him. And he's been really bad at AAA this year. I mean, again, like he's a 32-year-old journeyman who has only pitched in the majors 30 games throughout his career and has a 5.6 ERA. He's getting shelled at AAA this year. And the Guardians are a team that I have in DFS especially picked on ad nauseum this year, but things have turned around a little bit for them. And Bell has kind of been at the forefront of that, especially against left-handed pitching. 211 ISO, 361 WOBA. And then you look at Josh Bell's just like recent stretch. And I know he missed some time in the midst of this because he became a father. Congrats to Josh Bell and his wife or his significant other. But hits in 6 straight games, RBIs in 6 straight games. So I really like Josh Bell hitting from the right side specifically. He gets a gas can on the other side that we all want to see not succeed. And he's just driving in runs at an elite rate, hitting in the middle of this Guardians offense. So I really like Josh Bell. And honestly, I'm kind of just pairing that with Guardians over 2.5 runs in the first 5 innings, because that's when they're going to get to Dermody. That's when they're going to face Dermody the most. And lefties have hit Dermody hard at AAA. Righties have hit Dermody hard at AAA. And he's had a long history of no success at major league level. I think the Guardians get to him early here. The offense has been, trending upwards for them. So I like pairing both those plays. Josh Bell, 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, minus 130 on DraftKings, and Guardians over 2.5 runs in the first 5 innings, plus money at plus 105 over on DraftKings.
I like it. And you mentioned I am lockstep with you on the Guardians here. I'm back in their money line for a lot of the reasons you were just saying. Just this matchup against Matt Dermody, just not feeling good vibes from this.
Right.
You mentioned he had a problematic homophobic tweet that was like making news, and obviously that's a bad situation there. But
and it's like, June is, Pride Month, so like maybe
even worse.
Maybe we don't call him up during the month of June, or like just
the Red Sox are getting
sign him. Yeah. I mean, just seems like someone I wouldn't personally want to be friends with, and you know what? I'm not using that as a basis of my picks. He's just been terrible. I'm just also including the fact that winning money off of placing bets off of this guy would also be like a good thing on put a smile on my face, let's say.
Yeah. And so you mentioned journeyman guy, 32 years old. This is his first start in the major leagues, actually. He's been bouncing out of the league back and forth between AAA and the majors with different teams since 2016. But this is the first time he's actually going to start a game. He's been out of the bullpen. And even as a reliever, he's got a 5.60 ERA across his major league career. So, I'm looking to fade this. And you mentioned Cleveland's offense been better lately. And in fact, over the last 2 weeks against lefty pitching, they're among the top 10 offenses, which is like night and day compared to their season-long stats overall and against southpaws. They've just been like literally one of the worst offenses. And you mentioned a team that you're just looking to either target in DFS with pitchers or fade in betting. But tonight, I think it's a good spot to back them. You like their team total in the first 5 against Dermody, and I like their money line overall to win this game. Aaron Savali's on the other side, and he's been solid since coming back into the rotation. 2.04 ERA this year and a 2.61 FIP. And just this matchup against Boston on the road, which is another matchup I like to target when Boston is on the road, because their offense is just a lot worse compared to at home. And over the past 2 weeks against righties, they're just a kind of a league average team compared to their overall splits this season. So kind of reverse like up and down trends for both these offenses. So I like the Guardians money line minus 140 on DraftKings, which I like, not too bad. So yeah, I like that there. And then kind of pairing it, I'll just keep the Guardians going here. I like Andres Jimenez over his hits, runs, RBIs. Kind of an up and down guy if you look at his game logs. Not really reliable from a prop standpoint. But shout out to Justin Vreeland on the MLB DFS value plays article, because I kind of piggybacked off of him saying, he was saying he's a great value for DFS tonight. And I just like his prop because his splits against lefties are absurd. 322 batting average, 886 OPS against lefties, and compare that to righties, he's hitting 208 against right-handed pitching. So this is a play kind of based solely on the splits and also just fading Dermody for the Red Sox. Hopefully I can, we can get Bell and Jimenez both just kind of hitting each other right tonight. So I'll take that.
Yeah. And it's funny. Jimenez he ranks first in OPS by his 886 OPS against lefties is 84 points higher than the second best player on their team. But this is like what's so frustrating about this dude. They gave him like all this money in the offseason because he was so good against both splits last year, and now he only hits lefties. Like, how did you just go from hitting 300 against both sides of the plate last year to now only hitting lefties? Like, that's not how it works. But hey, I mean, it's working for him, and he is doing the thing against lefties. So I love the Guardians and Jimenez and Bell, and honestly anyone that you can jam against Dermody today.
Yeah, so we're all on the Guardians here, and I just to tease it, I think I'm gonna home run call that's gonna be Guardians related. So
hey, same.
Same. and you might as well. So we'll get to that in just a second here. Any other teams that you like tonight? Any other picks you like?
Yeah. I mean, other than the Guardians, are you sure? I mean, can we just like?
The only team playing tonight. So.
Yeah, only team playing tonight. The Guardians. No, I'm going Patrick Wisdom over 1.5 strikeouts tonight. And Patrick Wisdom, who started off the year, he was leading baseball in home runs. When he got to 12, he's still and now he's only at 13. And that's because this last month, despite still having good numbers against left-handed pitching, he has a massive strikeout issue against left-handed pitching this year. Patrick Wisdom has a 41.4% K rate. 41.4% K rate. And Reed Detmers was a pretty highly coveted prospect for the Angels. Wasn't great last year, but there were flashes. And he's actually been really good limiting damage against right-handed pitching this year, or right-handed batters, excuse me. But where he's excelled against righties this year, which again, kind of different because he delivers the baseball from the left side, 28% strikeout rate against right-handed bats. And the Cubs are a good offense against lefties overall, but things have just faded for them in general. They are high strikeout offense, mainly because Wisdom. And if you look at Wisdom over the last 28 days, which is a 19-game span, he has struck out 29 times. He is just striking out at, think of your league leaders every year, the Joey Gallos of the year, like the Adam Duvall previous to home run, walk, strikeout. That was all Adam Duvall used to do. That's where we are with Patrick Wisdom, but he's not hitting home runs anymore. He hasn't homered in the last 28 days or 19 games. He's just been stuck for so long. So I'm betting on over 1.5 strikeouts for Patrick Wisdom, minus 115. It's dead even on the over and the on DraftKings. So minus 115 over 1.5 strikeouts for Patrick Wisdom.
All right. And just going right off of that, I'm also fading a Cub tonight in that game, and it's on the other side. Drew Smyly under 4.5 strikeouts for him. I just, so if you look at the past couple weeks, the Angels have a 30% strikeout rate against southpaws, which is obviously bad, and immediately you might look to target the strikeouts. But they're also have among the top 5 teams in the league in WOBA and batting average against lefties. So they're hammering lefty pitching. They're just kind of striking out a little bit. And I just see Drew Smyly not being a strikeout pitcher that can take advantage of that matchup. So I think he can stay under the 4.5 while also probably getting hammered early and maybe not surviving enough innings to even get to this strikeout line. So kind of risky with the strikeout rate for the Angels lately against lefties, but I just think that offense is going to give him some issues tonight. And then, under 4.5 for Smyly in 7 of his 12 starts this season, but especially on the road, 4 of his last 5 road outings or overall this season have been under 4.5 strikeouts for him. Just a guy that's been averaging a lot more, better swing and miss stuff and strikeout stuff at home in Wrigley than on the road. So I think Smyly under here for his strikeouts.
Yeah, love that. And the Angels actually have, lefties have actually hit Drew Smyly pretty hard this year, and which is
interesting. Yeah,
it is interesting. And Ohtani is coming into this game scorching the earth hot, and he's hit lefties well all season long. So it's interesting. There is a lot of risk in Drew Smyly tonight. I like that. Doesn't strike a lot of people out on the road. I'm looking at that. 24 strikeouts in 33 innings total on the road.
Yeah.
That's 24 strikeouts in 35 total innings. So, I like that a lot, man. I think that's going to hit. And Angels are also a team that I like in DFS. And also, by the way, Yankees just tied the game up.
Hey, there you go. And if you look at if you jumped on that, they're now minus 145 in the money line. Wow.
Lefty triple, lefty RBI. Would you look at that? Holy cow! It's like Lance Lynn can't pitch against lefty. It's crazy.
And your home run tweet that you do every day, your home run calls. I threw out Anthony Rizzo because I had him yesterday, and then the game got canceled. So I figured I'd roll with him because he's got good splits against Lynn and been crushing it at home and against righty pitching. So, but we'll see if he goes yard to help out that money line.
You also have going Rizzo is kind of like a cheat code in a way because you might even have him for 2 games. So you could be wrong in the first game and then he plays in the second game and homers. You're like, look, I told you he was going to homer.
If you're listening, I'll only take credit for game 1 because that was the matchup. Okay. But if he game 2, then why not? I'll claim it. Why not?
Right, Adam. Another thing for you to scrub off the.
Scrub it. Before we get to some home run calls for tonight, my last picks here: Phillies run line and Phillies first 5 innings run line. I love them against the Tigers here. We got Tyler Holton on the mound for Detroit, his first MLB start of his career. I don't expect him to go deep today because he hasn't been going multiple innings as a reliever or anything. So. Maybe 2 or 3 innings we get out of them. But either way, the Phillies have been crushing lefty pitching lately over the past 2 weeks, 368 WOBA, and among the top 5 offenses in multiple categories. And it's a complete shift, kind of like Cleveland, from their overall stats this year against lefties. They've been a lot better. And lately, if you kind of watch the Phillies lineups, and I know you probably have for DFS purposes, they've shifted Nick Castellanos up to the 2-hole. Yep. And Trey Turner down to cleanup. And it's really helped Turner be a bigger threat there. He's having some more power now. And Castellanos has been on fire anyway. So this offense is just really clicking right now. They were going through some slumps, but they're on fire right now. And I just think this matchup against Tyler Holton in his first start on the road in Philly is going to be a nightmare for him. And then Zach Wheeler on the mound for Phillies. So, he's going to get some better starts going forward. He's got 4.33 ERA, just had a blow up in Washington on the road last start, but his 2.85 FIP is really still impressive and kind of in line for his career long stats there. And his BABIP is high, his left on base rate is low. So all these stats together, we're going to have some better outings. I think tonight against the Tigers offense that's, the league's worst against righties the overall this year, and still bad over the past couple of weeks. So I think Wheeler pitching on the mound here is going to do plenty, and the Phillies going to give him enough run support. So I like the first 5 innings run line and the Phillies run line overall for full game.
What do you think? I was looking at the Wheeler strikeouts. What do you think of Wheeler's? It's a big number. It's 8.5. 8.5 plus money. But like, dude, Detroit, since they lost Riley Green and like Javi Baez is just absolutely atrocious, and he's still hitting like second every night. I know Wheeler's been bad. He's coming off that Washington start, but for anyone that listened to John and Pemba talk about that, Washington had been really good against right-handed pitching going into that game, and they don't strike out. This is completely different, where Detroit, the other day, Aaron Nola had 13 strikeouts against Detroit, and the only reason they scored 3 runs in that start was because of an error that would have gotten Nola through 7 innings. So, or 7 unscathed innings, potentially no hit innings in that game. Wheeler 8.5 strikeouts. Any interest there?
I looked at it because I do the underdog article up on Fantasy Alarm, and I looked at it for there too because it was 8.5. But it was ultimately a little too high because of how his strikeouts haven't been there, Wheeler, this year. I don't remember the exact, but I think he's only been over 8.5 in like 2 or 3 starts. So that kind of trend kind of got me off of it. But like you were saying, Nola, and then the last game, Taijuan Walker, I think had 8 strikeouts against the Tigers.
Doesn't miss, and he does not miss bats. Like he does not miss bats.
So I would consider it plus 120 on DraftKings. I don't mind it. It's an interesting little nugget there because he could easily go for double-digit Ks tonight. I wouldn't be surprised at all. But I do like his not a pick for me, but I do like his over 18.5 outs recorded because I think he could go like 7 innings. I think we'll go past 6. Yeah. So I do like that. I think you're shaking your head because I just saw Yohan Moncada just went deep.
After and Luis Robert. So now,
really? It's 4-2 now.
It's home run derby for the White Sox tonight.
Should have taken the over in this one.
It's already like what was the opening line in this game? I mean, it's set. We're 6 runs in. It's top. We have 1 out in the 3rd inning. Like, dude, it was
probably at like 8 or something. Yeah. Wow.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
By the way, tonight, Thursday nights are fantasy football nights on Bettor Sports Network. So tonight, later on, after John and James are up on the MLB DFS live show here at 5 Eastern, just keep watching at 7 o'clock Eastern tonight, a high-stakes fantasy football show with Eric Balkman of the FFPC. And then 9 p.m. Eastern, we got the Dynasty Nerds with Dennis Bennett talking fantasy football, best ball strategy, rookie drafts, dynasty trade talk. The Dalvin Cook release from the Minnesota Vikings, which if you go over on the website right now, Fantasy Alarm, we got an article up on there just breaking down the impact of that from the fantasy and betting angle. But yeah, tonight on Bettor Sports Network, watch on YouTube, the app, bettorsports.com, Twitter, wherever's easiest for you. You can watch all these fantasy football nights, fantasy football drafts as you're doing your own best ball stuff. Let's get to our home run calls, our daily dingers for tonight as we have a few minutes left here.
Yeah, so to nobody's surprise, Servo and I
Which Guardian are you picking?
Very scary because, again, the Guardians haven't long-term been good. I'm going to go Josh Bell, right on par with my hits plus RBIs plus runs here going over. Look, the Guardians got him to be a power bat. They lacked power last year. He provided that, especially against left-handed pitching. He had a 459 slug and a 182 ISO last year against left-handed pitching. And he's starting to carry that over this year with over a 200 ISO against left-handed pitching again. So I'm going Josh Bell plus 550. Really good pitchers tonight, Servo, that I don't really want to mess with. But again, just going with the trend. Matt Dermody is someone that is going to serve up some long balls tonight to Josh Bell and to another Josh. Josh Squared going yard tonight.
Yeah, I'm going Josh Naylor. Well, he's been on fire. We mentioned this Guardians offense picking up, and Bell's been a part of that. Jimenez, as I mentioned, but Josh Naylor hitting .538 over his past 7 games, hitting .365 over his past 15 games. But he hasn't homered in 5 games. He's hitting for a great average, but he hasn't homered, even though he's done plenty this year. So I think he's due to go deep tonight, and I like the plus 500 there. Lefty on lefty's not great against Dermody here, but it's just the fade of Dermody. I don't care. The splits don't matter here.
It's more so the fade. But you're right. I mean, the guy's hitting .471 over his last 10 games. 16.
Yeah, he's on fire.
16 for his last 34. Almost a 1,300 OPS. Unfortunate, like in DFS, that you can only play one guy on DraftKings between Bell and, because I would just call my lineup Josh Squared tonight and move on. That's what I would do. But I think both have a great chance of going yard tonight.
Yeah, and we're clearly on them with all of our betting picks. As soon as we were getting off here, I think I'm going to hammer their team total in the first 5. What was your best bet? Because I don't know why I should have just put that. It was one of my picks too. Because I mean, if I'm on the Guardians here and I think they're going to do some damage, then why not?
Plus money. It's at least it was plus money on DraftKings.
Yep. Coming up after us here, as I mentioned, James Grande and is sticking on for double duty with John and Pemba. So definitely tune in there for a full hour here. MLB DFS Quick Pitch live with Pemba and Grande until 6. And then I mentioned the fantasy football shows later tonight. Quick Outs Fantasy Football, Coop and Pemba at 6 p.m. Eastern after John and James. Appreciate it, man. Good luck on the DFS show. Try not to play too many Guardians tonight.
I will. I can't promise anything. I'm probably going to jam as many as I can.
All right. We'll see you guys later. Good luck.
Bettor Sports Betting on the Bettor Sports Network.